Hello and welcome to ProLab Studios. My name is Michael Gallion. I do business development, and today we are going to talk specifically about closing bird deals. I know we have a session on selling bird control, but for those of you out there who sell for a living and are new to sales, closing is a problem spot for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that get involved in sales and have this unusual, unwarranted fear of closing. Like they're able to do every step of the process without issue. Then they get to close the deal, they get nervous, and they think about things too much. And typically it comes from not having a complete sales process is what it is. But the closing step should be as natural as any part of doing business. The best analogy that I like to use is it's like a piece of fruit. You know, the reward of sales is there, it comes to fruition. You know, that symbolically is a term that makes sense, because what we mean by that is when a piece of fruit is desired and it's not really ripe and ready, it's a struggle. It actually, like an apple, you have to pull it from the tree. It shouldn't be that way, okay? A close should just be a ripe apple that when you take hold of it, it just falls off naturally. We don't want to let it go past that point and then fall to the ground without use and then rot. That's also a good analogy, because there's the right timing to close the deal that a lot of people don't realize. It's about timing. And so what makes it good timing to close a deal? So let's back up to the beginning of the sales process. Get you to the point of the close. Make sure that you understand that you have to be in the right position and have the right timing to close. That's number one. You got to be able to close at the right time, and no sooner. Don't try to pull off an apple unless it's ripe and ready to go. So I'm not going to explain all the details that lead us through the sales process. If you want to talk about selling bird control from the very beginning, you want to check the podcast that we already have on selling bird control. We're going to jump ahead through that process and get to the point where we're just leading into the closing stage. The closing stage begins when a proper evaluation has been completed, the problem has been carefully identified and well defined, right? So we ask the customer, why is this a problem? What is the problem? Very clearly, we understand not only what that problem is, but why the customer needs that problem solved. And now that you have a full understanding of why they need it solved, what the end result should be, we've put together a strategy of solution. We've taken that strategy and we've formulated it into a proposed plan. The proposal has the cost of the project. It has details about what the project will entail. It will also have a timeline of how long the project generally will take to complete. A good proposal also has a very well-defined outcome. This is something that's left off many times, making it not ready to close. And that is, what is the realistic expectation after the job completes? In bird control, if we don't have that as part of the proposal, the customer can feel that if you end up doing the job and birds are still in the facility somewhere, that you failed and they're let down. So for example, there's a big warehouse structure at the back, maybe the receiving dock of a business, covered with pigeons. Man, it has gotten bad. Birds are crapping all over pallets that are underneath it. They've been dealing with it. They've been chasing it around. They put up spikes. Nothing works because they have nesting birds. Your proposal is to come in, clean everything up, and put a net up. But the day after the net is complete, birds are all now landing on pallets under the structure. Did you think about that in advance? Was that part of your strategy? Did you let the customer know that for several weeks after the net was installed, that birds would linger around? If you tell them that, many times they'll say, well, no, we want them gone. Like, we want them gone immediately. You have to be able to really explain, well, look, Mr. Customer, let me explain. Took years for it to get to this situation. Birds are infesting. They live here. Their existence, these are resident birds. They live at your facility and they reproduce at your facility. Just because we exclude them from their nesting sites doesn't mean that their biological pressure to reclaim and to still live here is not going to change. They're going to want to hang around here. We do have some secondary steps that we can do after the net is installed to reduce that problem, but you have to understand 30, 60 days later, once the birds realize they can't nest here anymore, you're going to see them reduce and go away. So even a step like that in a proposal process has to be done. And if you don't do that sort of prediction on what the outcome is, you're not ready to close the deal. You've weakened your position of power. So what it is, to make the close much easier for everybody, is that you answer these basic questions before we even talk about closing the deal. Mr. Customer, I've given you this proposed idea. First of all, does all that strategy make sense to you? Do you understand all the deterrents that we've described? If the answer is yes, Michael, this all makes sense. I get it. We're going to stop the birds from nesting, which is going to be the long-term solution to this problem. They're going to have to move somewhere else. I understand that none of the birds are going to get harmed, right? That's correct. We're not going to harm any of the birds. Okay. No, Michael, I understand this completely. If there are any questions at this point, guess what? You're not ready to close. They may say, well, how long does the net really last, though? Well, as you see here in the proposal, this comes with a 10-year warranty. Oh, wow, okay, 10 years. Okay, well, that's great. So for 10 years, the net is going to do its job without any issue. Well, what if we damage it, like in the next year or two it gets damaged? What do we do? Okay, explain the answers, right? They're not ready to close. In other words, if the customer does not say yes, that they understand everything and they're comfortable with the strategy, you're not ready to close. The piece of fruit, it's not ripe. Okay, let's make sure it's ripe. Maybe we got to cover some more things. Then they may ask, well, I get why we're going to do the netting, but do we really need the eagle eye system? You know, your proposal mentions this eagle eye system. You got an extra $3,000 just for some eagle eyes. What's the deal with that? As I explained in the original strategy here, will it work? Will the net do its job? Yes, it'll do its job without eagle eye as far as the dropping problem that we're seeing for the long term. But without that eagle eye system, you're going to have a much longer recovery phase. It's going to take maybe 6 months before you stop seeing the kind of activity that's damaging the pallets in your inventory. By putting eagle eye up in addition to the net, along with maybe some optical gel that you saw that was in the proposal, we're going to exclude them from this spot here, and then we're going to get them off of the secondary place that they're going to move to. And then the eagle eye is going to continue work for many years to prevent future birds from exploring in. You've created an exclusion and then a barrier beyond your property that's going to really solve the problem properly. I do not recommend going without that eagle eye, though. I'm going to be very adamant. What you asked for was a proper strategy, and I've given it to you. Does that make sense? If the answer is yes, okay, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure because, can we just do eagle eye though? That's very common, right? Where the customer might say something like that next. Let's just not do the net and do eagle eye. Will that work? No, it won't. Let me explain why. Eagle eye is a medium pressure deterrent for open spaces. If we use eagle eye and did not exclude the nesting, the birds would strategize to avoid the flashing, come in from a different angle, and just continue doing what they've been doing. You might see some reduction for a while, but once birds are imprinted in their nesting, we have to solve them properly. So you understand, even though you've joined us here today to learn how to close deals, look how critical it is that your proposal step is brought to its completion and the customer has no more questions. At that point, we say, is there any reason we can't move forward with this project? That's one of the questions we teach in sales. Is there any reason we can't move forward? And at that point, the customer will either say, no, we're ready to go, and then you've closed the deal. But we know in the world of sales that that's rare. Not every job is going to close that easily, although you'd be surprised if you do your homework and you bring the sales process properly, that the apple's just going to fall off the tree, because it is ripe, it is ready. The customer wants it solved and they're ready to go. So ask that question. Is there any reason we can't move forward with this project right now? Now, if they say, well, Michael, we can't really move forward right now. I need to get approval on the budget, yada, 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 right? There are going to be a series of objections now at this point. At that point, your job is not to close the deal, but to remove any remaining objections so that a final deal can be closed. It's that simple. Now, the customer, if they have budgetary issues, that each one of those needs to be addressed in a way that you're on their side. Yeah, is there a better way to do this job? You might need to break it into phases. You know what, Michael, the total cost is a little bit high. We got to figure out a better solution. Well, there are a lot of bird control companies that say, how about we put you on a payment plan? And they say, oh, really? Can we do it in payments? Yes. Problem solved. But rather than just go there, here's a good tool for you, is this. Okay, when they say, can you do a payment plan, you shouldn't just immediately go to that. Yes, what is a better strategy for sales is say, let me ask you this question, Mr. Customer. If we were able to do it at this price that I've showed you, but do it in 3 payments, would you be ready to close the deal and we'd be able to move forward? Would there be any other reason you can't move forward right now? And now here we are again at the same place where we were before to test. We're tugging on the apple. Is it ripe? If there's resistance, then we know there's more objection. If not, if it falls off the tree, problem solved. You closed the deal. But we're always going to be in this mode to properly address the objections, then close the deal. So that is what I wanted to share today, is to make sure that to close the deal, that the customer feels completely confident in your solution, that there will be expected results and that those results are going to be guaranteed in some way. When you do that, you're going to be able to close the deal much more effectively. Now, one other point I want to make about this process of closing the deal, especially when we go small scale with residential jobs, there are a lot of different devices that are presented to homeowners and small business operators on how to solve birds. One of the biggest things in closing bird deals is setting yourself apart that you're a certified bird control expert. And if you're not, if you're listening right now, you're not, you need to get certified. Then you need to go onto the Bird Barrier website, sign up for our next training class. We have them every month. Get your certification. That's going to empower you to close deals at a much higher level, because so many amateurs are involved in bird control, have no training. They simply throw bird spikes at everything and hope for the best. That's no way to do bird control, okay? What you're going to do then is be certified, explain to them that you're a certified professional, and then you may need to do test or proof of efficacy. It can really matter. About 50% of all bird control jobs that you're going to have an opportunity to close have had previous failure. And that creates 2 problems. One, it creates a problem that it undermines their faith in any professional to do the job properly, or their faith in deterrents that are going to work. The other thing is that it heightens the need for proof of efficacy, that the fact that whatever you're going to use to solve the problem has guaranteed proven results. So it's really critical to understand before you close deals that you think about what your solution involves and really showing the customer proof either through videos, going to bird barrier website, showing the guarantees that come with those products. Sometimes even doing a test area first is needed to close the deal. Those are some real key bullet points. Hopefully this is helpful specifically on how to close bird deals. My name is Michael Gallion. I do business development for Bird Barrier. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the section below or contact us. We'll have more podcasts in the future based on what your needs are. Let us know any subject that we should cover in bird control, and we're here to help. We will see you at the next podcast.